So yeah, first of all, thank you everyone from Living Consciously. Shalu, we spoke as well. You guys are doing amazing work. It is my pleasure that you are giving me this opportunity to talk about human design and to be associated with the project. I really love it. So now I will take two minutes of yours to tell you about the story of how I came to human design, and then we'll go on to how it contributed, and then how you can also use the knowledge in betterment of yourself. So till 2015, I was a mechanical engineer. I had worked in Mahindra for already around 3 years. At that time, I was doing my master's in US. So everything was going correct around me in terms of life opportunities, education. But still, it was feeling pretty empty for me. And then I started to wonder, like, what it is that gives meaning to life, because it looks like everybody has figured it out. But I went through this disillusionment where I found out that nobody actually knows what's going on. So that through that incident, I started on my journey and I dropped out of my masters. And I, through series of coincidences, I ended up meeting human design. So human design, it's for me a beauty of mathematics, because I've never been a painter or some musician or an artist of that kind. I've been a through and through geek. And this system is really amazing for people who want to read about things, understand how mechanics operate, how we operate, how our body operates, how our energy system operates. We could get most of the answers about what makes us different in terms of how our mechanism is different. So I would like to take you through the journey of understanding what human design is. I've created a small presentation. We will use that to understand how to understand ourselves. 1 minute. Yeah. Are you guys able to see it?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So human design is a system that can be used for awakening to who we are, what goes on in our life, how to make sense out of it, and understand what love is. Because the foundation of love in our life is having that love for ourselves. If we are not ourselves, then self love doesn't work. We can't love who we think we are. We have to love who we are. So mind always stands in the way, creating all kinds of illusion necessarily because of conditioning that comes from our parents, society around us. So how to transcend that? Human design gives a very clear picture that we can experiment with, and that is the best part of it. This is not a belief system. So throughout this interaction, I'm not going to ask you to believe anything. It is for you to verify it, and I have for last 6 years. It works amazingly. I still don't know how it works, but it still can create amazing impact in your life. So the basic fundamental in human design is that our body is a vehicle. The driver is not us. Passenger is our mind going bananas about what is happening in our lives. No, no, this is not how it should be. No, no, this is how it has to be. I don't like this. I would rather have that. And all kinds of stories that we have about ourselves. These stories that mind is creating every given moment, it is going bananas, but still our vehicle is operating, that is being driven by the driver. So these days in spiritual communities, we have different names for it. We call it Atma, we call it higher self, we call it higher soul, and all the different words. But since human design is a science, we call it magnetic monopole. Passenger, the mind, who we think we are, is actually the passenger, and who we think we are is the vehicle in this life. This kind of analogy we find again and again in Bhagavad Gita, in Kabbalah, where there is this that we are not in charge of our life directly. Like whatever stories that mind creates, mind is almighty or powerful. But the moment it starts giving us the directions of what we should be doing about our life, it doesn't work. You might have this experience where there are certain advices that we give to other people, which works really well for them. But same advice we try to impart to ourselves, sometimes it just doesn't work. Like there was this Hindi movie called Bhag Milka Bhag, in which Milka Singh was the runner, and he was going for all kinds of tournament and medals. I'm sure like everybody was motivated. Yeah, let's go for a run since tomorrow. But now nobody runs. So like that, there are so many stories that we know that we should be doing, but we don't do it not because of lack of motivation or something, but whether it is correct for us to do that. Is it correct for who we are as a human being? So human design, we try to understand the concept of what is passenger consciousness, how to live a life as a witness instead of the doer in the life. So, since human design is based on pure mathematics, the main difference from astrology and other things, astrology categorizes us into 12 different kind of signs, sun signs, moon signs, but there are basically 12. In human design, we have so many points of imprinting in everybody's chart, which is based on date and time of birth, that no two people can ever be same. It is impossible mathematically. It's like two people having different fingerprints, and nobody can have the same fingerprints. So these are the kind of fingerprints of the gods per se that are we are embodying all the time. There was an experiment about trying to understand the nature of reality. So scientists have their different ways. Philosophers and our saints and yogis have different ways of understanding the universe. So Lake Baikal is one of the experiments. There have been many experiments in the past. So in quantum mechanics or in science, through the nuclear fusion, we know that four hydrogens come together. They make up a helium, plus loss of mass, plus loss of energy. But we did not know what that loss of mass is. And for the longest time, scientists believe that neutrino, which are subatomic particles, they don't have any mass, but it was proven in 90s that they actually carry the mass. So we know that anything that carries mass can carry some amount of imprinting. So we are being imprinted by the neutrinos, like we are living in the neutrino ocean, like this soup of consciousness. If at all it can be related to something physical, neutrinos is that subatomic particle which is everywhere. So Rao has this theory of the founder of human design that our consciousness is impacted by this flow of neutrinos, and they can be categorized into these different windows, these 64 activations that we see around the wheel, which are then taken from there and plotted on the body graph. We are going to talk about it in further slides. There is great deal of connection in human design when you see the connection between I Ching and genetics. So human design is made up from genetics, then astrology, then Kabbalah, then chakra system. It's like fusion of multiple systems. But how they come together and the magic is unveiled in us as human life forms. The connection, we see that there are 64 types of hexagrams in I Ching. Same 64 number you're going to see in the codons of our genome sequence. Then there are six possibilities for every hexagram. The same goes for our genetics as well. Like these are the kind of topics which are going to take 1 hour of their own. So we're going to skip through them and then we're going to get to the fun part of human design. Kabbalah, the channels in human design chart that you see, these ones, the connections, they're taken from Kabbalah. Kabbalahs are this, let's say, energetic windows which open up when two people are meeting. Within us also they are operating. So different channels which are giving us different characteristics in terms of our nature, what nature is. That has been synthesized from Kabbalah. In chakra system, we know that there are these seven chakras and they have their qualities like Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, Ajna, and Sahasrara. So in our Indian system, we have these 7 months, but human design has this story where in 1781 there was this coincidental to the discovery of Uranus. A mutation happened in human beings. Since then, the kind of human beings that are born, what we call new age or new era, There are different stories about this kind of mutation happening. We talk about rainbow children, we talk about rave children, new kind of kids that are gonna come in the future. We are necessarily the midwives of them, understanding what life is and how humans are operating. So this transition from 7 to 9 centered, it already started in 1781. So that's why we have this experience about a lot of things that were working for the past generations, grandparents and parents. They're not working for us anymore. We are living in that age of transition towards 2027, in which human design talks about the great mutation. That now, as human beings, we are changing. The transition is happening. So, from this synthesis, even astrology is there. But from this synthesis, we are coming to this body graph where we are trying to understand the characteristics of someone. So in my particular case, for example, I have defined throat center, defined G center, and defined sacral center. So these three centers, they have their own qualities. Like having a defined sacral means the moment I'm using my energy for something that is bringing me satisfaction, more things are being pulled towards me. We have the same concepts in manifestation, law of attraction, and these experiences are not necessarily something mental, but it is in terms of energy. Are we feeling excited about what we are doing, or is it frustrating us? So there are 9 types of centers, and these centers, these numbers that you see in all the centers, they're taken from the mandala through which the planets were revolving. And each and every one of us, based on the situation that was there at our date and time of birth, we were imprinted by neutrinos, which has created this chart. So in this chart, depending on what centers you have defined, those areas work consistently in you specifically. And if you compare your charts to your friends, if you compare your charts with your friends, your family, you always see some relation going on. Like logically speaking, there should not be any connection between what our parent chart are and what our chart is and our romantic interest, our wife, boyfriend, girlfriend relationships that we're having. So this beauty of mathematics of how the connections are operating, this helps us in understanding who we are in interaction with the other, who we are when we are working for ourselves, and how our system is operating. So I'll try to go into the nitty-gritties of it now. In terms of centers, if somebody has a defined solar plexus, let's say, I have a defined solar plexus. So that means that anything that I take in at any given point of time is basically colored in a certain emotion that I'm having in that moment of time. So, because that emotion is clouding my judgment in the moment, big decisions should not be taken from heightened emotion or heightened sadness as well. So, all of you, if you have seen your chart, if you put your, there are multiple places where you could create your chart. I have my website pranahumandesign.com. You could create your chart there also. So if you see in your chart, if the solar plexus center is defined, that means that there is going to be a wave of emotion. So it makes sense for you to not make any decisions in a very impulsive way, but rather to wait for that emotions to give you clarity. This might sound like a big handicap, but it's not really so because solar plexus defined people or emotional people are here to understand things deeply, to take them in very deeply. So it's not a moment by moment sampling. Even about relations, even about friendships, even about changing place, changing careers, any big decision that we make. If it comes from heightened emotion, it is not correct for you. You can experiment with this. This is not a belief system again. So try to experiment with it when it comes to your decisions that you're taking your time. If you have a defined sacral and open solar plexus center, in that case, you're going to have a very strong gut response. Gut feeling, we talk about it all the time. So this gut feeling, it needs something to respond to, you know. So let's say you're sitting in your house and you don't know what you want to eat, and a friend comes around, they ask you, "Hey, do you want to eat something?" Like, I don't know. I can eat something, but what do you want? Like, I don't know. So then, let's say, friend asks you, Okay, let's go for a drive. We will go out. We will go out and we'll figure it out what we're gonna eat. So they ask you, okay, do you wanna eat dum aloo? And then you say, I don't want to eat potato. But you just said you don't know what you're gonna eat. So what I mean to say, the moment a question comes one by one, then it's very easy for somebody with a sacral authority to understand what is going on. Instead of trying to think and figure it out. Like if they're just reading the menu at home, they're not gonna know, they don't wanna have aloo, you know. So like this, any interaction that they're having in their relationships, if there are some struggle in the relationship, if they're told what to do, they don't like it because then
समझा रहे हैं
they don't know whether they respond to it or not. Yeah. Then we can talk about the splenic center. This is our basic intuition or rather in the moment awareness, which goes way beyond our mental understanding. It is very primal in nature. It knows how whether we are safe or not in a particular interaction, whether we are healthy or not, and it just decides for that moment. So the splenic center is not here to make any decisions. Let's say, okay, I'll think about it and I'll tell you. A very good strategy for solar plexus, but a very opposite and incorrect strategy for somebody with a defined spleen or the splenic authority in the design. If somebody has their root center defined, then the way they take in stress, their understanding of deadlines is also different than other people. So defined root people, I have seen in my case also that we don't actually move till the deadline is close. Somebody with an open root center, they'll start rushing right away. Okay, I need to get rid of this or I need to finish it as quickly as possible. Otherwise, I'm not going to be peaceful. Otherwise, I'm not going to be free of the pressure. Then somebody with a defined heart center, they have a defined willpower. Like whatever they talk about is backed by their willpower. Of course, it has to be correct for them. Then they are able to exert their willpower and then take necessary rest. And this commitment and will not everybody is here to be committed to something. People can keep it open and then even then they can function, but depends on what kind of people they are. If somebody has a defined G center, then it is about having their own consistent direction in life. You know, they know who they are. They don't need outside validation to understand, okay, I am this and I have to do like be in this particular way or behave in this particular way. There is this inner thing guiding them. So sense of self, it comes from the defined G center. Then throat center is also something which is like it is our manifestation center. You know, whatever we are thinking doesn't necessarily exist. Whatever we think about doing doesn't necessarily exist. But the moment we talk about it, now it is here. The moment we do something about it, then things move. So that gearbox is operated through the throat center. In Ajna, we have our mental understanding or conceptual awareness, which has which can work in past, present, and future. And head center is where our original inspiration comes from. You know, these people are inspired from within. They don't need some outside pressure. In my case, I have completely open head center. So the moment I go outside and I interact with someone with a defined head, a lot of ideas starts flowing. If I'm sitting by myself, it's like I'm a dumb or something. You know, nothing in the head, just sitting just as I am. So let's say somebody has open centers, the same centers that we talked about. But if they're open, then those centers is where we take in the mental dialogue and we try to operate from there. So let's say somebody has defined solar plexus, but they have open root center. What's going to happen is they are here to make decisions through being patient about the decisions, through taking their time, having clarity about it. But then their mind is going to be like, no, but I have to finish this as quickly as possible. Otherwise, what about this pressure? I'm not able to sleep. I can't sit. I have to get this done. So the moment they end up making decisions from the pressure, the number of things that need to be completed, that list never ends. It just keeps going on and on and on. So it makes sense for somebody with open root center, the moment pressure comes, to procrastinate. This sounds like a really opposite. kind of advice. But somebody who's having a lot of pressure, it is better to procrastinate in the moment and then to process it and then to start working on it. So somebody with the open root center, the question is, am I in a hurry to get things done so I can be free of the pressure? If it is so, then consult with your authority, inner authority. Then open solar plexus is about, am I avoiding confrontation and truth? So the experiences that I've talked with my clients, somebody who has open solar plexus, it's like they don't want to take on other people's emotions of anger or sadness. So they're like, I'd rather much not say anything about anything. Let's keep this peace, even if it is false. I won't say anything in order not to disturb the peace, not to make a scene. So I'll just accept the untruth or live a lie. And that is what a lot of us do, especially with open solar plexus. So we got to be real cautious about it. Human design sometimes can be harsh, but it is here to make us understand what our shadows are, what our not self is. So the dialogues, the questions, there needs to be deep contemplation with the dialogue, whether there are these things in our design. Somebody with the open sacral center, I have seen the biggest workaholics anywhere are mostly people with open sacrals. They don't know when enough is enough, so they go on working, 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 and then around at the age of 35 to 40, they start feeling this burnout. Sometimes at 26 to 28 as well, depending on what kind of design they have. But body just says no, stop now. Nothing's going to happen anymore. So a lot of people that I've met in my journey while traveling uh, were open sacrals who were highly successful because they worked a lot. But then again, they were very tired and they needed deeper healing to heal that sacral so that they are able to understand what their, having gut issues, having not understanding what somebody wants. It's a classic example of having an open sacral and they have just exerted themselves so much that they don't know now whether what they should be doing, what makes them spark. So it is not actually that difficult to understand, but it is difficult to implement for sure. Am I holding on to things that aren't good for me? I'm guilty of this. I have open spleen center. So in past, I have hung on to relationships because I believe, okay, if I let this go, then will I get a better one? Working jobs, not leaving them even while knowing this is not correct for me. Because if I let this go, then I'm gonna have to deal with this issue of the safety now. So I'd rather stuck with something which is unhealthy for me, but so that I don't have to face my fears anymore. So most of the abusive relationships that we see, there is this pattern with open spleen hanging on to somebody with a defined spleen. This goes across in relationships, this happens in careers as well. But this is just our mind playing with us, you know. The whole point of all these dialogues in human design is so that we understand what is mind and what is true. Are you feeling it in your body? Or is it just your mind creating the stories and illusion and trying to trap you?
Gaurav,
Yeah.
I have a question from Sujata.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think by open, do you mean undefined centers?
Yeah. So for now, since it is a basic workshop, we are considering open and undefined the same. So there can be two variations in the center where let's say this ego center is there. Somebody has only gate 40 resides here. So if gate 40 is there, but it is not getting connected to the other side, two centers get defined when there is connection from the both sides. So in this case, for this to be defined, it has to be connected either to the throat, either here, either this side, or either this side. There are four connections possible. So open and undefined, these two variations are basically, in both the cases, the center is white, but sometimes there are hanging gates in them. So they're trying to look for the other side, trying to look for the connection. So for all purposes right now, open and undefined is treated the same right now. So yeah, moving on to open ego center or open heart center. This is the center of willpower. So people who have this defined have this strong build nature in them. Sometimes they can be egoistic, which is not necessarily a bad thing also. It makes them achieve things, it makes them do things. But the impact that this has on the people with the open centers is that they believe that they have something to prove. I have seen this again and again in family, especially where children think, children with open ego, they think that if I don't earn this so much amount of money, if I am not this much successful, if I don't have a house, if I don't have a car, all these kinds of stories that I'm not worthy of my mom's love, I'm not worthy of my dad's love. If I'm not keeping my promises, which maybe were given long ago and they have moved on a different path now, if they're not able to honor them, they feel this deep sense of unworthiness. You know, this is one of the strongest sources of conditioning across the planet, actually. So, conditioning is not the enemy again. It makes us realize our own aspects, shadow aspects, or dark aspects within us, where we're trying to compensate for who we are not by trying to prove to other people, you know. So, this is a classic case with open ego where this deep sense of unworthiness makes people do things to get approval from their tribes. This happens in nationalism also. This happens in tribes as well. Where okay, if you are Indian, then you have to have these things. If you are a Hindu, you need to do these things. If you are a Muslim, you need to do these things. So this area is where we find the foundations of systemic religion as well, systemic family, all the structures that we see in the society around us. I'm giving more time to this because this impacts a lot of people. So the stories that are coming from the collective, the stories that are coming from the tribe, which talk about our self-worth because we are doing for the other or not. So doing something from the goodness of heart is a different thing, but doing something from the deep-seated unworthiness is never going to reap any rewards. More often than not, it gets us pulled into scenarios and situations which are not correct for us. So it is a very important question to contemplate on, especially if you're open ego. Do I have something to prove to my parents, to family, to my friends? Now, am I getting pulled away from what my path is because of this reason? Okay. Then somebody with open G center, they have a very deep sense of rather sensitivity to places. So they need to be in places which they feel correct in. So I got married last month. My wife is a open G center. So if we go to a cafe, she will say that, okay, not this table, I want to sit at that table. For me, it makes no difference. I have a very strongly defined G center. So how she feels in a different cafe, in a different place, she has this different sense of understanding about whether a place is healthy or not, whether a place is good for her or not, at least. So then OpenG, you will see this thing that, okay, if I like this samosa, I'll go to this particular place which is like 10 kilometers away and I'll have samosa over there. Not any samosa is not going to do. So being very choosy or specific about food, what they wear, and everything. So if a OpenG center is interacting in the society, in the family, what happens is if OpenG center person has a dad who's a doctor, mom who's a doctor, they're gonna feel this need, okay, I need to be that I need to be a doctor now because I don't know who I am. And I have seen that, I've been impacted by that. So they end up becoming doctors most of the time. Especially if they're open ego also. They want to prove to their mom that I am a good doctor. I can be a good doctor as well. So in case of open G center, they need to contemplate whether they're looking for love and direction in their life, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But if they're obsessive about it, then it can be an area of deep-seated conditioning, which brings a lot of resistance in life. If somebody has an open throat center, it's like the mind will have dialogues related to how do I get attention? You know, there might be something they really, really like, but the other thing gets them attention, then they want to do that thing while being frustrated about it. And as humans, we do this to ourselves. So with open throat center, there are not that many people with open throat center, but it is like inconsistent kind of expression. They can be really wise about expression as well through learning about it from correct people. But the main thing to contemplate on is whether am I trying to attract attention from other people? Because this might pull them off the path. With open ajna center, am I trying to convince everyone that I'm certain? I have I'm guilty of this. I do this all the time. Where if I'm not sure about if something is correct or not, I'm gonna try to talk to others that okay, I'm gonna do this. And this conversation or this thing doesn't necessarily get anything done, but it is just a strategy of the mind, which is like, okay, I need to be sure about it. You know, so many dreams are lost because people believe that okay, I need to be 100% sure about it, then only I'll take the action. And through this illusion of certainty, they never come to certainty. Even if they come, it goes away within 1 or 2 weeks. It happens with me as well. So the main point is to operate out of what your authority is saying. We will get to that as well. What your authority is saying, what your inner voice is saying, what your intuition, what your gut response, what your emotions are telling you, what your nervous system is telling you, and to work on those things which are bringing us joy and which are bringing us satisfaction. And what pulls us away from from our joy and from our satisfaction is these stories that we keep telling ourselves. And the last thing with the head center, am I trying to answer everybody else's questions? So this can be a great area of wisdom as well when it comes for other people. But let's say somebody wants to switch a job, but the moment they say, okay, I'm gonna switch the job. If the money is not that much, or like let's say if they're into IT or fintech, earning a lot of money, but their passion is bringing them, let's say, 70% of the money, but they'll be happier in the end. But the moment they're going to make that choice, their mind will be like, okay, but what will we tell to our parents? What will we say to our siblings? What will we say to our friends? So then mind gets involved and it starts, okay, these many questions are going to come. So rather, I will rather not deal with it and let's maintain the peace. So these are the kind of traps that our mind can try to trap us in. And there are ways to go beyond this by understanding what our type is. So if you have created your human design chart, you will see that there will be type either a manifestor, generator, projector, reflector, and there is a kind slight variation in generators. We call it manifesting generator. So, but it is basically the same type, just a little variation. So, for when you get your chart, the first thing you look at is what your type is. If you're a manifestor, it will be written there that your strategy is to inform. So, to inform, how do we take these things into account and understand the strategy also? So, in human design, we have this concept of self and not self. So, whatever centers you have colored in your chart, and whatever centers are white, you write them down. For the right centers, you write down the questions. And when you write down the questions, like there are more deeper questions depending on what kind of activations are there, but we are trying to keep it basic. So we see the open centers, we write the dialogues, then we take in the defined centers, we talk about the authority. So in the chart, you will find authority as well. So let's say there is a manifestor who has the emotional authority. So the strategy will be to inform and to wait for clarity. To wait for clarity and then to inform basically. So manifestors, since they are initiators, there are 7 to 9% people in the world who are manifestors. So their role in this life is to take initiatives so that other people can respond to it, so that it can become a movement, so that they can change things, start up businesses, start up schools, all kinds of things. You will see this pattern again and again that even when only 7 to 9% population is manifestors. The higher positions in any company, owners, founders, most of them are going to be either manifestors, though these days projectors are also catching up. So, in terms of manifesto strategy and authority, that when they wait for their creative urge to come, so the first time it shows up, let's say they are thinking about starting up a project. So the first time that impulse come, they take it in, they write it down, make a list about it, about if they're going to do this thing, who they need to inform. So when they make this list, they also process their own creative desire, whether they actually want to go for it or not, or whether it is just an impulse which showed up one time. So after they wait, if they still get the impulse, let's say 2 weeks or 3 weeks from that time, and the desire is still there, or it shows up again, then they take the initiative action and just let people know, okay, I'm starting this up. So since human design is a mechanical tool of transformation, these things sound very simple, but they bring a huge amount of transformation when somebody does it for a longer period of time. Because since the work is related to the deconditioning part of it. So you understand what your type is, and let's say this person has an open root center. So this process that we talked about to inform and to wait for the clarity and to inform, the thing that is going to stop them from doing this work, the kind of question that will show up, they'll see the patterns in the open centers. So write down the dialogue, what their mind is trying to tell them, and don't take any action out of that thing, but rather only take any action that they do has to be from the creative impulse that they're feeling. Then generators, since they have a very strong sense of gut feeling or rather gut response, they need to wait for things and opportunities to come to them rather than they going after it. They taking initiatives to do something about it. It sounds really counterintuitive that how can you wait and things will come to you? Because most of the times if they're involved with incorrect people and incorrect scenarios, then things don't come to them. If a generator is frustrated, then things just don't happen. There is a huge resistance in life. In case of manifestors also, when things are not working, they become angry. And this anger again, burns people around them. They become thorny. That's why they sometimes people keep them away also. In case of generators, it is more about whether they are satisfied or whether they are frustrated to begin with. So waiting for things to come to them and doing the work silently, being satisfied by their day-to-day activities is what starts pulling things towards them. They have an enveloping aura. Even I am a generator. So what happens is when you are doing something that you're truly interested in, coincidences just happen. Synchronicity just happen. Resistance becomes really less and less day by day, and you are changed as a result of that. In case of projectors, they are the real guides of other people. They are here to understand other people. Their work in this life is to be successful in life, to be recognized in life for who they are. But anytime mind is in play, they are going to have different ideas about what they should be recognized for than what they're actually good at it. So, in order to make this differentiation, because projectors are really good at seeing other people, understanding them, but very rarely they are able to understand themselves so better. So, there is a different experiment in case of projectors where they study five people around them, look at their five charts since they are master of the systems, and then through understanding five people around them, how those in presence of those people, how they are transforming in each interaction, what changes, how they start thinking. So, in presence of other people, observing yourself brings a lot of awareness to projectors. And then, when they're involved with the knowledge of the correct system, then people can recognize them for who they are. But if projectors end up giving their advice for free or like just like that, people are not going to listen. And when they don't listen, they become bitter. that, okay, I told you so, how could you do that? And I told you will mess up if you do that. And our friends trying to help us, and we're still doing the same mistakes. Most of them are projectors. So we have to recognize them for their gifts, and then they can show us the way. So gurus, small kind of gurus are our friends, which show us the direction because they know us better than ourselves. So when a projector is our friend, we feel being seen. Being truly seen is a very special thing. And projectors have this gift of seeing other people, understanding who they are. So when it comes to projectors, it is important that they take great care of their system to take the necessary amount of rest, because manifestors and generators, we call them energy types because they have energy which reaches the throat center. So basically, their activities are backed by energy. In terms of projectors, it can be inconsistent. In a group, they can be the hyper workaholics, the person who works the most. But then after 3 days, they are like, just sleeping or just taking their time. So in order to take care of themselves, they need to take more rest than generators. Generator needs more work so that they can sleep sound at the end of the day. Reflector are the rarest ones. Manifestors 7 to 9%, generators 70%, projectors like 20 to 22% population. Reflectors are more or less like 1 to 1.5% of the population. They are truly special. So for every other design, it is about in interaction how they're working. But reflector, they can't help it but take in energy from everywhere, from around them, from specific areas where they're staying, from a house that they stay in. So whatever we get to see in the reflector is the reflection of everything around them. So place and people and partner becomes the most important thing for a reflector. So they need to take more rest because they're being impacted by other people so much. One of the spiritual leaders, Thiel Swan, happens to be a reflector. These can be a real wise beings. Most of our gurus that we see in the world are projectors. Sadhguru is a projector. Osho is a projector. In terms of people who are like doers, Narendra Modi is like a manifesting generator. Then manifestor, you will see this Nelson Mandela, Sachin Tendulkar, Rohit Sharma, Bumrah, all the people who start things up, like opening bowlers and opening batsmen. So you will see these patterns. If you go on studying the people charts, you will start seeing these patterns. So through these patterns, when you come to your chart, if you're a generator, you should study your chart first. If you're a projector, study other people's chart first around you. So in terms of hierarchy, we already talked about these types: reflector, projector, manifesting generator, generator, and manifestor. Everybody has a different strategy. For manifestors, it was to inform before they initiate. For generators, it was to just respond to things after they come to them. Projectors, it's a funny one, is before you offer your expertise, wait for the invitation to offer that to other people. Otherwise, it's not being heard and you become bitter sometimes. And then reflectors is wait a lunar cycle, where since they are the beings who are impacted by the moon the most. So there is this funny way of going into the how to see the conditioning pattern of a reflector. So is anybody a reflector here?
Samrit raised her hand. And Vijay commenting, yeah. Samrit and Vijay.
Yeah. So like even here, like how many people are there? And maybe we found one reflector. So these patterns we find again and again, like in terms of profiles and everything. So in terms of authorities, there are emotional, sacral, splenic. We talked about it. Ego, G center, Luna. I'm trying to cover everything, but there is just so much that I got a rush for these things. Then not self and signature themes. So when a generator is operating incorrectly, the thing that they find happening with them is this deep bodily frustration, which just doesn't go away. With manifesting generators, it's like 20% anger and 80% frustration, frustrated anger. In case of manifestor, it is pure anger, like throwing things and actually doing something, different kind of anger. Then projectors, it is about from bitterness to success. So if they're not being recognized for their gifts, bitterness is a very natural thing that happens with projectors. This bitterness can result in inflammation of the body, can result in detoxifying the body, issues with detoxifying the body. So if the bitterness is being created every day from inside, somebody having the greatest detox diets and keto and salads and healthiest things, not gonna work. I had a client like that. We changed her mental patterns and her diet was not working for her. She had physical issues. So these things they're impacting our body. Human design is form consciousness knowledge. It is about the body. So once the body starts operating correctly, then we can talk about the mind. If we are doing the correct things in life, us being associated with correct people, then we can start transformation of the consciousness. Otherwise, we get trapped in not self. So I'll tell you a little story about me. Uh, my friends had this funny thing where they said that, okay, this time when I do workshop, I got to do this before after picture. So in my own life, in terms of relationships, I was having breakups again and again. And it was the same pattern. I was like, how can this be? And after I checked their charts, it is like I was dating the same people in different bodies. So how can it be so uncanny? How can this coincidence exist? And how can this coincidence exist? Like this cannot happen. That even in 52 deck of 52 cards, if you take out a card again, it cannot repeat again and again. So the moment it becomes something more than sheer coincidence, you got to start inquiring it. So I started on that journey few years ago. In 2016, through coincidences after coincidences, I went to Auroville. I stayed there for a few months. I stayed in Himalayas for a few months, and then through friends and friends of friends, I ended up meeting human design. So transformation was already happening, but I couldn't understand or couldn't structure it in my head so that I could go on a specific path or a specific journey. And I did not want to go for gurus and ashrams, and I wanted to maintain my individuality. So then human design came into the picture, and the most important thing was human design told me not to initiate anything and to let things come to me. But I have to be offered a decision in order to make a decision. I need not, you know, just go and do it like Nike. That just didn't work. Like I tried doing it, but it didn't bring me to a place which brought any amount of satisfaction in my life. And then as I gave up trying to make decisions, I was never a person who had traveled before. And when I started traveling for 7 years, I didn't stop. It was just one place after another. I had these concepts in my mind that okay, for traveling you need this kind of setup, you need to be in these kind of places, you need to do these things, then only that will happen. But it just happened. Everything took care of itself. So it sounds very crazy that even when we don't plan, how can things work? Because left brain or the structured way that we've been taught in school, we don't understand the magic, we don't understand the science. But for the first time, there is a science to magic in our lives also. Right now, I couldn't give any practical examples of people. I wanted to inform you, and I would like to invite you to experiment with whatever things I have talked about right now. If you have certain questions, I'll be creating a WhatsApp group, and I'm going to put some basic resources over there, some PDF books and some audios by Rahul. And if you have some questions, you can contact me at that time also. And for now, we can begin with question and answers. And stay different, stay weird.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav.
Yeah,
Shalu, you go on.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Gaurav. For me, I always felt that human design is something, which is very complex and like how I'll be able to understand. But you made it so simple and yeah. Thank you for doing this.
It's very difficult to cover it everything in 1 hour,
Yeah.
because it is such a vast thing and so much information.
Yeah.
So the journey actually begins when we start experimenting with the design. All these things are cute, the questions and what is your type. There are 12 profiles. There are more than 30 channels, more 64 gates, and it is very geeky information. But when we put it to use, when we start experimenting with it, that's when you get to find the real fun in life, something surprising.